Oh, the next one. I'm so sorry. Dearest gentle readers! We're excited. Okay, I need to stop. I need to stop being so loud. I have a whole bingo card of predictions for you, so let's get into it. My Cottage will be in 2 episodes at max. I'm gonna try to not spoil or anything, but My Cottage is basically just another estate that the Bridgertons have, or that Benedict has in this case. In the book, there is quite a big chunk happening at My Cottage. It would be weird if they would just be off somewhere else and doing other things, which might be a problem for Eloise and Francesca's storyline, but we will see how they will handle that. I do believe, and it makes sense to have Sophie and Benedict in London, so I think they will cut back on the My Cottage stuff. And they will try to shift things around, obviously, and I believe that they're gonna do a good job. They do adapt the books quite well and do have a lot of things that they make better. Except for season 3. I still have... What is it called in English? I have a bone to pick. I actually know this one. Why did I not know that? I have a bone to pick with season 3. Don't worry. I will tell you. I will let you know. I have to let you know. Next one. I call it side stories because I don't want to mention I don't want to mention that godforsaken family that I'm not interested in whatsoever. But I'm sure they're gonna have like a big whole storyline, and they were in the trailer where you see them rolling around in bed, so they probably like need to make another heir or some. They were good for season 1, but now I don't need them. That's enough. Next one, more POLIN. Usually in the season after the main couple, they do try to implement the couple and, you know, have them there. And I believe this season we will get a lot of POLIN scenes as well. Of course, also with like, you know, Lady Whistledown and the Queen. We saw that in the trailer. We were excited about it, of course. But I do believe we are gonna get a lot more POLIN scenes. Unfortunately, and I'm gonna get back to that, I think we're gonna get more because after that, like in the next few seasons, we're not gonna get that many. I am looking forward to that, and as of what I have seen from the trailer, I'm excited. I love POLIN. I'm such a POLIN sucker, even though I hated this season. But I hated the season so much because I didn't even tell you, did I? I hate it so much. Actually, I hate part 2. I'm gonna get into it. I swear. It's still painful. It still pains me inside here, inside the small little Jill heart. I'm gonna get into it. There's more points. I'm so excited. I just want to keep talking, but I can't. I believe Benedict will get advice from Colin. Marital advice. And like, you know, because Colin is now a little hubby-bubby. In the past 2 seasons, we always had the previous coupled up sibling give advice to the new sibling that is gonna get married. We had Anthony and Kate sitting down with Colin before his wedding and being like, you know what? Marriages are not perfect. People are not perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. If she made a mistake, does that negate everything she did before? That's what they told him. I love Kate and Anthony, and I love Colin and Penelope. And like, this was so nice. I love that. I'm a sucker for KANTHONY and POLIN. What can I do? Are my favorites. And then of course we have in season 2 Daphne telling Anthony, well, first of all, Daphne walking in on Anthony and Kate, almost kissing. Then of course we had Daphne telling Anthony like, you are a bad little boy. You better marry her, because I see the way you look at her. I think you're in love with her. So maybe you should go get yourself a love match. The same way I did, because you forced me to. that whole situation, right? So I believe that this time, of course, it's gonna be Colin telling Benedict. And there is a part in the book, I'm not gonna spoil or anything, don't worry. But there's a part in the book where Colin tells Benedict like, yo bro, like, are you stupid? Like, just go get the girl. Like, who are you kidding here? Probably that scene is gonna be there, but I also hope to see like an actual scene of Colin just giving Benedict advice, maybe before he knows about Sophie. But even if he knows about Sophie, I'm also fine with that. Just give me some brotherly advice from the small little brother to the big elder brother. I would love that. It would just be like Daphne, you know? Well, Daphne was kind of scolding Anthony, but whatever. Next one. Oh, I talk so much. I wanted this to be like short video, but I'm so excited, so I just keep talking. Benedict and Eloise on the swings. It's a no-brainer that this is gonna happen, especially because in season 3 they talked about how they should meet up on the swings more often. So I do hope that they follow up on that and that it's not just an empty promise. That would make me very sad. Oh, the next one. I'm so sorry, fam. You're not gonna like this, but I believe KANTHONY are gonna move to Aubrey Hall. Yeah. Let me just break it down for you. In the books, Anthony and Kate move into the Bridgerton house, the house we know, the house we love. Violet and the other kids, they move to what they call number 5. The whole reason for that is obviously because Anthony is the Viscount now and Kate is the Viscountess, so they live in the main Bridgerton house. It makes sense for it to be like that. But in the show, I do not think that makes sense because number 1, there's like this whole branding thing. You don't really want to change the whole set and everything people know. I hope that they're storing the set somewhere and then just reusing it and not recreating the whole thing. And if they are doing that, it would be easier to just use the same set again. Also, you know, everyone knows the Bridgerton house. I think it might be a little confusing to casual viewers. Obviously not me, but to casual viewers. To have like a different house, everyone would be like, where are they? What is this? This is not the house we know. And then, especially doing that for the purpose of hardly ever seeing Kate and Anthony. We hardly saw them last season, and I think it's gonna be like that moving forward. Probably even less so with every single season. The actors are getting great roles, which is amazing for them. And I do understand that they would rather, you know, have the time for a bigger project than just being a side character on Bridgerton. It makes sense. So to move out the main cast, which is still heavily involved in Bridgerton, out of the iconic Bridgerton house, just to have someone sit in there who we're mostly not gonna mention in the next seasons, makes no sense. Also, in the context of what we know about Kate and Anthony, both being lovers of nature, both loving to ride. Also, you know, Anthony being the Viscount, being at Aubrey Hall and closer to all of the lands that they own and all the people that they have to handle. I don't know what Viscounts do. What do Viscounts do? Today they often perform ceremonial. No, what? Back then, give me the back then. Collecting taxes, administering justice and acting as judges in trial and proceedings. Well, okay, for this they will have to be in London. Collecting taxes and revenues, I guess this they will do around the area that they own. Managing local affairs on behalf of the monarch or a higher ranking noble. Yeah, that's something, that sounds like something you would do out of Aubrey Hall. Now, obviously, I also do believe that they will come back during the season, all the way back when this actually happened, like all of these people existed. Not the Bridgertons, they are made up. Let's not talk about that. All the nobles and aristocrats came to London during the season because of Parliament. That was like the actual reason for that. And I do believe that Anthony and Kate are gonna be there for the season sometimes. But I also think that most of the time they're gonna stay at Aubrey Hall because they like it there. And it's a very, very easy way of writing the actors out without sending them to India again. Next one, Francesca season 5 setup. I thought about this for a long time. Is it gonna be Francesca? Is it gonna be Eloise? Because according to the books, it should be Eloise. Well, you know, Eloise and Penelope and Colin and Francesca, they kind of happen simultaneously somewhat. But yeah, they have to give them their separate seasons. I believe that Francesca is gonna be the one to get season 5. At first I was like, okay, it's gonna be Eloise, 100%. You're gonna set up Eloise. She went to Scotland with Francesca, so she probably may have met someone there or like heard about someone there and texted someone there, trying to spoil as little as possible. And then we would have her acting weird this season and then doing her stuff like the next season. That's what I initially thought. But there is one thing that fully convinced me that it's gonna be Francesca. It is actually Violet. I am gonna get into this later on. But yeah, I think there's gonna be a big ass Francesca setup. We're gonna see a lot of her and her story and whatever happens, so that she could be the main character of next season. Mark my words. Next one, fitting with that, I think John Stirling will leave. I'm not gonna spoil anything, so I'm gonna just leave it. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Next one, Cressida won't return for now. At first I thought she might be somewhere around like the My Cottage area and, you know, come back with Sophie or something. But I do not believe that, because I believe that My Cottage stuff is going to be shortened heavily. Next one, I believe the diamond will be discussed by Lady Whistledown and the Queen. Now, obviously in the trailer, we also saw Penelope whispering into the Queen's ears and, you know, talking to her. Obviously, no-brainer, but I could imagine that the Queen asks Pen whether she should keep doing the diamond stuff or not, because last season she searched for the sparkler. It would make sense for it to kind of end. In the books, there's only one time that the diamond is mentioned, and it is in Daphne's book, where Daphne is called a diamond of the first water. I think that this might be a good point to stop it. And the queen just asking Pen, should I still do that? Or should I not care? Or should I call it something different? So I think that's gonna happen. Next one. Hyacinth will call out Benophie. Obviously, Hyacinth loves calling out the main couple, and I think she's gonna keep doing that. It also makes sense because of the stuff that I know from the book. In the books, Hyacinth doesn't call out every single main couple, but I do believe she is gonna do that. I love that. I love that she does that. I love that the showmakers make her do that. And I would love it a lot if in Hyacinth's season, Hyacinth again calls it out unintentionally. That would be just really funny. That is also an easy one. Gregory will go to Eton. Obviously, it makes sense. They talked about it in last season. Also, we see the brothers have like a shaving cream fight, which kind of ties into this whole, you know, he's gonna go off and be by himself. And yeah, the next one. I actually, before I looked at the cast list, I wrote this down. Michaela and Francesca are gonna have a moment. I really hope that they're gonna do it correct this time, which means Michaela is gonna have a moment looking at Francesca, not the other way around like we got it in the last season. That's what I wish. Wholeheartedly wish for Francesca and Michaela. And then also I looked at the cast list because I was like, but what if she's not gonna be there? Like, what if they skip through it and Michaela is on the cast list? So that's gonna happen for sure. The next one, Violet will talk about Edmund. Of course. I know, she always talks about Edmund and it makes sense. But I think she will specifically talk about her experience of loving him and still having love for him, but having grown enough to be able to let go of that and find something new. Because we know that she has like this little hot little guy there who's like interested in her and, you know, wants to court her and all that. I love that for her. I wholeheartedly wish that she has like a nice time and that the garden keeps blooming and whatnot. But I do believe that she is gonna talk about this either in front of or with Francesca. And I think this is also gonna help with the build up towards Francesca's season. But yeah, I think I'm onto something. Then, unfortunately, very sad one, Lady Whistledown is gonna stop writing. It makes sense. Not only because of the books, because after the POLIN book, there is no Lady Whistledown anymore, like she just stops right away. But I also believe this is gonna happen in the show because it doesn't really make sense for Lady Whistledown to continue when everybody knows who she is. Because how is she gonna get all the information? Everyone's gonna be like, oh look, it's Lady Whistledown. Let's not talk about anything. How is she gonna get that? Of course, there could be like a Gossip Girl type of thing where people tip her off and all, but I don't know, that would just be too modern somehow. I don't know. I think she's gonna stop writing. I do think she's gonna do other stuff. She's probably gonna somehow work for the queen and maybe be like the personal gossiper for the queen and earn a lot of money. It just feels off to still have Lady Whistledown. I'm kind of on the fence with this one. Like on one side, I do believe that it makes sense for her to stop. It would be weird for her to keep going. But I also have to say on the other side, I do understand that it would also be weird for the show to not have the narration of Lady Whistledown. But I have a solution for that in 2 bingo points. Lady Danburry will help with Sophie's cover-up story. In the books, it is Violet who helps with the cover-up story, but I think it's gonna be Lady Danburry this time. It makes sense. They also gave a lot of like the meddling things to Lady Danburry from the past 2 seasons, which weren't in the books, and I really enjoyed it. And we didn't get too much meddling from her side with Pen and Colin. We got it for obviously the Whistledown stuff, but not for the couple itself. And I would love to see, you know, some more meddling in there. So I believe she's gonna be there whenever whatever goes on, and she's gonna help with the cover-up story. Because whatever Violet says in the book, and I'm gonna come back to that in my review, but whatever Violet says in the book, it's so Lady Danburry coded. Strict and cold and being like, yeah, I'm gonna put you in your place, so shut up. And I think that's gonna happen. Next one. Violet will meddle again. Now, we didn't get much meddling from her last season. She was there, she observed, and she gave some wise words to Colin, but that's about it. Like, she didn't try to, like, you know, be in there doing things like she did, for example, with Daphne. And I think that this time she will be actively meddling again. Not only because of the books, but also because it makes sense for her to be incorporated more, and I hope that it will be. Yeah. Now, about Pen. I think Pen will start a novel because she loves romance stories and she loves reading and she loves writing, and the whole Whistledown thing might be, you know, not ideal. So I think this would be a great start for her as a writer. She is obviously an established writer. I'm sorry, I take that back. But as like a novel writer, if she does that, and if she starts writing stories about the Bridgertons, because they have a lot of love and romance there, then we could proceed in the next few seasons with the intro from Lady Whistledown, but in a way of it being a book. Is that too crazy? Now that I say it out loud, it sounds a little bit too far-fetched, but I feel like this would be such a good thing, you know, a good way of ending the Lady Whistledown stuff without having to end the narrator with their analogies and, you know, all those nice things that Lady Whistledown usually says that are very fitting. I think this could be a thing. Next one, we will get a Sophie flashback. Yeah, that's all. We had flashbacks in season 1, in season 2, and then in season 3, we did not have a flashback. Why? I would have loved to see young Penelope and young Colin and Penelope falling in love. I would have loved to see that. I wholeheartedly hope that we get a Sophie flashback, especially because if we want to explain her backstory, because, you know, we don't know anything about her. The first time we see her, she's just someone that we don't know. And if you really want to feel for them and if you really want to understand them fully, it is so much more impactful when you see it rather than just hearing it. Of course, she could also just talk to someone and be like, yeah, I am like this because all the way back then my parents and this and that. Yeah, but it's way more impactful if you can see it. So I really, really hope that we are gonna see it. It would be so great, and I do not know why they broke the chain with my favorite couple. I'm still so mad about that. The book is called An Offer from a Gentleman, and without spoiling anything, I think part 1 is gonna end with an offer from a gentleman. I do not think that the offer is gonna happen at the end of the lake scene as it did in the book. I think they're gonna shift that, like the lake scene is gonna happen and stuff's gonna go on, probably, somewhat, but then they're gonna shift the offer to later on, and that is gonna be at the end of part 1, which I believe is gonna be back in London again, because as I said, the cottage stuff is gonna be just 2 episodes at max. Probably just gonna be 1 episode, the cottage stuff, now that I think about it, because the first one is going to be the setup episode, and it's probably not going to be at my cottage. But I do believe that at the end we're going to get the cottage again, so I stay with my number 2. Oh, this one. Sophie will keep the Musty Glove. In the book she does not, but I believe in the show she will. Also, we saw in the trailer that she's holding the Musty Glove. I'm calling it Musty Glove because in the book it literally says that the glove smells musty. And I believe that she's gonna keep her pair. Benedict is gonna probably have the other one, and then when they come together finally, the gloves are gonna be reunited or something like that. Ah, this breaks my heart. I believe POLIN will go travel the world. In the book, they have grand plans of traveling together because Pen has never traveled and Colin has traveled a lot. And they say that, yeah, at some point we should travel together and show Penelope what awaits beyond the uncivilized.
Mama says everywhere beyond Hampshire is positively uncivilized.
I know we're gonna get them in this season, but going forward with the next seasons, we're gonna see less and less of them. Which is also the whole riding out Whistledown makes sense, because she's probably gonna be gone for a lot, and they will have to have a reason for her being gone, especially if next season is Francesca's season. It makes sense to not have Pen there all the time. In Eloise's story, I hope so that we will see a lot more of Pen, not because of the book. In the book you don't see Pen at all, but because they are friends, and it would be weird for the show to kind of try to separate them. I think they might do a similar thing where they pull Eloise more back home and not just leave her with wherever she's supposed to be. Would just be a very secluded season if they did that, I think. Colin and Penelope deciding to go travel would be a neat way to have a good reason for the actors to not show up that much anymore, unfortunately, and I think that's what's gonna happen. It breaks my heart. I love them so much. Next one. Lady Whistledown and Eloise are gonna search for the lady in silver, who is of course Sophie. Now, that Lady Whistledown might ask for that is a no-brainer, of course. She's gonna want to know who that is. And Eloise wanting to help because it is about her brother Benedict, and of course she likes pen again, and you know, she always wanted to work with Whistledown. I could imagine that they try to find the Lady in Silver. There might actually be like one edition of Lady Whistledown along the lines of, if you know anything about this mystery lady, let us know. Let the Queen know. We all want to find her, or something like that, you know? And then the last one, I believe Benedict will find out who Sophie actually is at the end of episode 6. And then we're gonna have 2 episodes of them trying to come together. Then we're gonna have 2 episodes of them kinda fighting because she didn't tell him, and him realizing that he wants her back, but her somehow being gone. So that's my bingo card. Let me know what's on yours, and I see you guys in the next one. Bye!